this will help the government politically? It seems like a lot of these measures would be quite popular with renters, with people who've been caught up in bidding wars, and others out there. Do you think this is going to be politically palatable?
This plan, our fair housing plan, is about helping people. It's about helping people to be able to buy a home. It's about helping people to be able to afford to rent a home or to stay in the rental home that they're in. So my objective is to make sure that what we do helps people.
Mais c'est pas la première fois. Ça fait longtemps que le marché immobilier est fou comme il l'est présentement. Est-ce que ça va vous aider politiquement?
Le point de cette plan est pour aider les gens pour établir une home, une résidence ici, en le Greater Golden Horseshoe et en Ontario, et c'est pour aider les familles et aider les gens qui ont besoin de cet support.
Mais pourquoi pas l'avoir fait avant, il y a 2, 3, 5 ans, quand le marché était quand même très, très élevé?
Okay, you're asking me why sooner. Oh.
It's been crazy for years.
No, the situation has changed. La situation est différente maintenant. Il y a un an ou six mois, il est différent, et c'est pourquoi nous avons besoin de cette plan à ce moment. The situation has changed. The situation has changed, and we've heard that from economists. We've heard that from realtors. We know that a 33 to 43% increase, that's a new reality in this region, and so that's why we've worked to put together a plan that would address those concerns.
Perhaps to that question, it was only 6 months ago that you were saying that a tax on foreign investors was not appropriate for this area. You saw what happened in Vancouver. What is it that changed your mind?
Well, and my answer is exactly the same. The situation has changed, and in fact, we're seeing a different set of conditions here, and that's why, as we've listened to economists and we've listened to people who are following this very closely, we have determined that a non-resident speculation tax, that speculation reality, needs to be addressed.
Is that because of what Vancouver did? Did that force you to bring it in once it came to Vancouver? Had to come here?
You know what? I'm just going to ask Charles to speak to this.
So let's be clear, we have been taking action to date, right? We have already frozen taxes on apartment buildings in the last fall economic statement. We took action to provide for a doubling of the rebate for first-time home buyers to encourage them to get into the marketplace. And we have been addressing and looking at what's happening around the world. And a speculation tax is something that's happened not just in Vancouver, it's also been happening in London and Singapore and in other parts of the world, Hong Kong, for example, and Australia. We've addressing that. We have been saying all along, we're looking and we're trying to take in the data, and we also recognize that the federal government has taken some steps to try to curb some of that demand. Bottom line, we have more jobs in Ontario, we have more people coming here, we have a growing economy, and that increase in prosperity is attracting more and more people to this to our region. That's a good thing. Ultimately, though, it's creating substantive demand and a spike in pricing that we recognize must be tempered, and that's why we've taken these actions.
What evidence do you have that the tax in Vancouver is actually bringing down prices?
So let's be mindful of the fact that the evidence that we have before us, the data that's before us, is very clear. In the Toronto region, year-over-year prices have spiked by 33%. In other parts of the surrounding areas, over 30%. In Barrie, it's 40%. And in all of Canada, it's only been 8%. And without that, there would be a flat growth in the country. Ontario is leading, and as a result of that lead, we're seeing substantive demand and substantive price increase, which is not sustainable. We're taking measures to try to provide some stability. Market forces will always prevail. We're not going to be able to address the market in itself. Supply and demand will dictate. We're just providing some incentives within the system to provide for greater supply into the mix. That's what we're doing today.
Domestic speculation.
Well, we are implementing domestic speculation by looking at those that I call property scalpers to ensure that we have full disclosure as to what they're doing with regard to assignments, to ensure that those that aren't living in those respective properties do pay their fair share. And if they're vacant, Well, we're going to provide for greater taxation on those properties. If they have lots that are serviced and permitted for development, yes, then we're going to provide some greater taxations to encourage that supply to come into the mix. And Chris Ballard has talked about a consortium, a SWAT team of sorts, to work with the municipalities and the federal government to encourage greater supply and expedite matters more quickly. But there is a domestic speculation that's underway, and we're trying to address that in these measures as well.
Do you know how much of the purchase? To that point, I'm trying to understand. Actually, I'd like to know, what did the data tell you about foreign speculators and domestic speculators? What percentage of the people winning these bids are speculating? What's foreign, what's domestic? I mean, how do I know your plan's going to work?
So right now, the matters before us is showing urgency. So by not acting, we're also taking a step, and we try to assess what it would be. And as a result, we've noted that the data is very clear. Prices are going too high. Demand is extremely high. We note that maybe the degree of non-resident investment in Ontario or in this region hovers around 8%. We have to get greater clarity. And as we proceed forward, we're going to provide for that data, because now full disclosure is going to be made. Ultimately, and I should say this too, we do want foreign direct investment to come to the province of Ontario. We are tops in North America. In fact, if individuals from outside of Canada want to come and build apartment buildings for purpose-built purposes, that will be exempt as well, because we want to encourage that.
One thing I need to know is, what percentage of the people winning these bidding wars are speculating? And what percentage are families moving in and using it as a primary residence?
Well, we have recognized by the degree of vacancies in the city, for example, estimates around, I believe, 6,000 or more units indicates that there's a degree of speculation. The Bank of Canada, Stephen Paulus, has made it clear that he sees speculation as being a problem in the region. And those are the points that we've taken into consideration in working with stakeholders. Developers are telling us they have individuals coming, jump in the queue, and buying multiple units with no intention of living in them. They're speculating, they're flipping, and they're getting exemptions from capital gains, and that's what we're trying to close. These are just measures. Remember, there is no silver bullet. There is no single answer that's going to resolve the problem. We're just trying to facilitate and put measures around it to stabilize the marketplace.
So this weekend, Premier, the housing bid frenzy could still occur, even though your rules on foreign taxes.
Yeah, we don't have direct levers to pull to change the market, nor would we want to. But we believe that it's our responsibility, given the evidence and given the advice that we've gotten, that we need to put in place some measures to calm this frenzy that's going on.
What measures are being put in place?
Si les spéculateurs sont vraiment un problème dans la grande région de Toronto, on n'a pas de données pour vraiment déterminer c'est quoi l'ampleur du problème.
Donc nous avons de évidence, est-ce que c'est un mot en français? Oui. Nous avons de évidence que la spéculation est un problème ici, et nous devons maintenant développer plus d'évidence, plus de statistiques. Mais nous avons besoin à ce moment des mesures qui peuvent calmer cette marché. Yeah. Did you want to? You were up.
You're using Liberty Village as a background today. Just in the last couple of weeks, people hear the rent double. What do you say to them specifically? Why does this take so long?
Well, we have, as I've said, we've been putting together a package of measures to address all of the issues that people are confronting in housing, and of course there are people who have for a number of months seen the challenges that we're confronting right now. You know, if we could go backwards and fix all of those situations, we would. We can't. We have to move forward, and so we're putting these measures in place today, and our intention is that the measures that we're putting in place, including rent control, will help people who will not have to see those very high increases in the immediate future.
When it comes to measures for bidding wars, what are your clear guidelines for landlords and to have more transparency in the system?
Are you talking about rentals or
No, I'm talking about
purchasing?
bidding wars on purchasing properties and the perceived lack
comes to bidding wars?
Well, yeah, I'll let Charles speak to that, but that's one of the reasons that we're going to be working with realtors and making sure that that all the rules are being followed. There are some practices that are questionable, and that's why one of the measures in this package is to really dig down into those and make sure that there is enough control in place and that the rules are being followed. And I'll let Charles speak to the specifics.
Yeah, and I give credit to the profession themselves who have come to us saying, you know, we need to look at the ethic behaviors, and they are. A majority of the individuals in the profession want everyone to abide by the proper procedures. So we're going to provide clarity. We're going to also offer consumer education and enabling them to understand their rights. And we want to have transparency in regards to those bidding wars. And we want to make certain that the realtor is making clear to the consumer that they may be double-ended, right? That they may be operating on both the buy and the sell side. And we want to ensure that with that transparency, we avoid fake bids, right? So that everybody's clear what the valuation is and what the expectations are. And the profession is actually asking us to provide some support to them in this regard.
Just, yeah.
Foreign buyers tax appear to have only a short-lived effect on the market. Do you expect your tax to have any long-term effect at all?
Well, again, we're in a situation right now where we're working to address the challenges that are in front of us. We are not. We're not interested in controlling the market. That is not the aim. But we do believe that there's a need for interventions right now in order to calm what's going on, to put protections in place. You know, this package includes consumer protections like some of the rules around elevator repairs, and I do a shout out to Han Dong. Make sure that people who are living in rental units get timely repairs to elevators. Those are the kinds of things that will improve people's quality of life, and so we're putting these in place in order to address the challenges that are confronting us right now.
Do you have enough information about foreign buying in the market to know how much money this should bring in your upcoming budget?
I think we're looking pretty much at revenue neutral, but I'll let Charles speak to that.
It's revenue neutral.
I thought that was the answer. I heard a question over here, what if it doesn't work? What if this doesn't work? So we are, as I said, we're confronting challenges that are we're addressing challenges that are confronting us right now. We are going to be paying close attention to this, as we have been. You know, people have been asking us about the housing market for months. We've been paying close attention. We've seen changes. We've seen substantial increases that are unsustainable, which is why we're bringing forward this package right now. And we're going to continue to pay close attention to what happens in the housing market. I mean, you know, there's nothing here that gets changed and that's it. We're never going to come back to the policies around housing. We will continue to monitor, and if there's more that we need to do, or if there are changes that we need to make, then we will make them. But right now, we believe that these are the measures that are needed on both the supply side, the demand side, and the rental market, that are needed in order to help people to be able to find a place to live that they can afford, and they can live, work, raise their families, and their quality of life will be higher.
The last question with Crawley here.
You know, you are open to doing other things, yes? And what sort of a time frame do you have for, you know, kind of waiting, seeing how things happen? You're going to make changes potentially within like 6 months or a year?
I really can't give you satisfaction on a timeline on that. We're going to pay attention to this very closely. You know, you and people in Ontario have been asking us about things like what was done in Vancouver for some months, and I couldn't have told you 6 months ago, 8 months ago, that this is exactly what we were going to bring forward, because the conditions have changed. And so we are bringing forward this package to address the concerns that people are confronting right now. Sorry, why?
Action now on actually changing things with how the real estate agents operate? And
Well,
are you going to commit
to finishing that review and making any changes before the election?
So we are going to be working with the realtors right now. I mean, I think we need to identify exactly what the practices are. I think we need to be clear what the problems are that need to be solved. You know, is it that the rules aren't good enough, or is it that the rules aren't being followed? And so we need to be very clear about that, and we'll work as quickly as possible to change whatever needs to be changed. But we're in conversation with them right now.
Premier, can I just ask you one last question on the Hamilton MRT?
Last question.
They had